The ethereal plane shimmered with an iridescent glow, a canvas of swirling colors and shifting forms where the boundaries between reality and dreams blurred. Alice, her spirit drawn by an unseen force, materialized in this dreamscape, her form shimmering like moonlight on water. She stood before Elliot, her green eyes blazing with newfound strength, her once fragmented consciousness coalescing into a singular, defiant presence. Elliot, his amethyst eyes widening in surprise, a flicker of possessiveness and fear momentarily disrupting his carefully crafted mask of composure, greeted her with a calculated smile. "Alice, my love," he purred, his voice a silken caress that held a hint of desperation. "You've returned to me." Alice met his gaze, her expression a mixture of defiance and disgust. "I am not your love, Elliot," she declared, her voice ringing with a power that echoed to the ethereal plane, a challenge to his authority, a rejection of his manipulations. "And I have not returned to you. I am here because you compel me, against my will." Elliot, his composure faltering, his carefully constructed facade cracking, took a step back, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice laced with thinly veiled threat, a predator sensing the shift in power, the prey turning to face his hunter. "You are still bound to me, Alice. You cannot defy my will." Alice laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the dreamscape, a sound that held the weight of centuries of anger and betrayal. "You underestimate me, Elliot," she said, her voice dripping with scorn, a queen reclaiming her throne. "I am Asherah, daughter of the tongueless one, and I am no longer the pawn you once controlled. I remember." She stepped closer, her form radiating a power that made Elliot's blood run cold, a power that emanated from the very core of her being, a power he had sought to suppress, to control, to exploit. "I remember everything, Elliot," she hissed, her voice a venomous whisper that slithered through the dreamscape, a serpent coiling around his heart. "The centuries of torment, the manipulation, the stolen children, the shattered lives. You will pay for what you have done." Elliot, his fear masked by a veneer of arrogance, a king desperately clinging to his crumbling kingdom, countered with disarming smile. "Alice, my love, your memories are playing tricks on you. You're confused, hurt, but deep down, you know you belong with me. You crave my touch, my love, my power." He stepped closer, his voice a hypnotic whisper, his amethyst eyes boring into hers, attempting to reweave the spell of manipulation, to reassert his dominance. "Don't you remember the nights we spent entwined?" he murmured, his voice laced with seductive warmth. "The passion, the ecstasy, the surrender? That was real, Alice. That was us." Alice faltered, a flicker of doubt clouding her eyes. The fragmented memories of her past, the countless nights spent in Elliot's embrace, the forbidden desires he had awakened within her, swirled in her mind, creating a vortex of confusion and longing. "No," she whispered, her voice barely audible, her resolve wavering. "That wasn't me. That was someone else." Elliot seized the opportunity, his voice a silken caress. "It was you, Alice. It was always you. Cardi, that brute, he poisoned your mind against me, filled your head with lies and deceit. He wants you for himself, Alice. He wants to control you, just like I do. But I," he added, his voice dropping to a seductive whisper, "I love you. I have always loved you." He reached out, his hand gently cupping her cheek, his touch sending a shiver of both revulsion and longing through her. "Come back to me, Alice," he pleaded, his voice laced with a desperate yearning. "Let me show you the truth. Let me awaken the desires that lie dormant within your soul." Alice, her mind a battlefield of conflicting emotions, her heart torn between the love she felt for Cardi and the forbidden allure of Elliot's touch, struggled to maintain her resolve. The fragmented pieces of her identity battled for control, each voice whispering a different truth, each memory a distorted reflection of her shattered past. I don't know," she stammered, her voice trembling with confusion. Elliot, sensing her vulnerability, pressed his advantage. "Trust your heart, Alice," he urged, his voice a hypnotic whisper. "Let your desires guide you. You know you belong with me." But just as Alice was about to succumb to his seductive charm, a voice, strong and resolute, echoed through the dreamscape, shattering the illusion, breaking the spell. Alice, no. It was Ajendi, his voice a thunderous roar that shook the foundations of the ethereal plane. Do not listen to him. Mother, he lies. Elliot, his face contorted with rage, whirled around, his amethyst eyes blazing with a murderous fury. Ajendi, he hissed, his voice dripping with venom. You dare interfere? Ajendi, his form radiating a celestial light, stepped forward, his gaze fixed on Elliot, his voice a weapon forged in the fires of betrayal and vengeance. I will not let you harm her, Elliot, he vowed, his words echoing through the dreamscape. I will protect her, even if it means defying the heavens themselves. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a chilling whisper that only Elliot could hear. I was there that night in the hallway. I saw what you did to Charles, and I will never forgive you. Elliot's eyes widened in shock, a flicker of fear momentarily disrupting his composure. He had not realized that Ajendi, his own son, had witnessed that fateful encounter, had seen the depths of his cruelty, the darkness that lurked beneath his charming facade. The air crackled with tension, the two celestial beings locked in a silent battle of wills, their powers swirling around them like a gathering storm. Elliot, his anger simmering, his control slipping, unleashed a torrent of dark energy, his powers swirling around him like a tempest, a desperate attempt to regain control, to extinguish the flames of their defiance. But Alice, her eyes blazing with a newfound strength, stepped between them, her voice ringing through the chaos. Enough, she commanded, her voice filled with power that made the very dreamscape tremble. I will not be a pawn in your games any longer. I will choose my own destiny. The room fell silent, the air thick with anticipation. Alice, her gaze fixed on Elliot, her voice filled with quiet determination, spoke the words that would change the course of their lives, the fate of the realms. I choose love, Elliot, she declared, her voice echoing through the ethereal plane. I choose Cardi. And with those words, the dreamscape shattered, the fragments of their confrontation scattering like stardust across the astral plane. Alice, her consciousness reeling, her body trembling with exhaustion, found herself back in her spoken home, the warmth of Byron's embrace a comforting anchor in the aftermath of the celestial storm. But the battle was far from over. The war for Alice's soul, for the fate of the realms, had just begun, and as the echoes of their confrontation faded into the silence of the night, a new chapter unfolded, a chapter filled with danger, intrigue, and the promise of a final showdown between the forces of light and darkness.